Hello everyone, this is Monksy, sorry, also known as ex-foreign Monksy, and I'm going to be bringing you a gameplay here on Bootleg CTF against Epsilon, who are arguably the best team on the game at the minute, having just won the recent Battle of Amsterdam event. And I'd say with the amount of practice they put in, and obviously you could say it's a big factor of Daredevil playing in their team, but I'd say the swap of Agony has probably helped them a lot in terms of communication and how much practice they've been allowed to put in. But you'll see here I'm going to be using the ACR red dot because this is literally the only gun that I use in this team, and I'm going to be pushing this left hand side quite predominantly because when you're setting up on this side, there's obviously two different ways you can go for. You can go for the road pull, which you'll see here from Bissell, or you can go for the left hand side pull, which you see is the most orthodox with, I'd say, particularly the top teams. But what I'm essentially trying to do is when the opportunity arises, I'll push into their back left, but if possible, I'll just be trying to keep the full control of this left-hand side, because without them having this left-hand side control, they can't pull a flag, because they can't run it road, because obviously you spawn there 100% of the time, like regardless, or you spawn in your shop. But you see here, I get a nice little two-piece and then go for the third. I probably shouldn't challenge this again, and it was really stupid to be honest, but I didn't quite see the guy in the back left bin, and as a result I get killed. But you'll see the main theme of our team here is you'll see Steve, Mohawk, sorry, and Bissell pushing the bottom mid, and you'll see Nave just generally wandering, but predominantly going for that roadside spawn trap, which is quite rare to achieve pretty well, because obviously getting that left hand side is really difficult while getting a 4 down. But you see, we always do quite a good job on this map of getting our defense sorted, which I'd say is the most important thing. Obviously, we've been on the back foot on this game quite a lot in terms of losses. I don't think any team's probably had as tough as a run as maintaining their sort of streak online, so to speak, as is. Like we've literally got knocked out of every tournament in round 1 back in the start of the game, and we'd lose quite a lot of scrims. But now I'd say the role's been reversed a little bit, and we're starting to see like we are starting to win a lot more games, and we're starting to win them by big scores. And you'll see here, I sort of swap it up a little bit, and I'm pulling a flag down roadside, which is quite unusual, but I'd say without any support, pulling it road is just I'd say absolutely essential to get the occasional rare pull. I'd say never focus entirely on road because it's so easy to shut down. But if you do it now and again, like I've just done there, it just works because it catches them off guard. And you see, sort of a bit one-dimensional teams suffer quite a lot from those sort of sneaky pulls because they're not used to the unorthodox player pulling it the wrong way. And you see here, we get another pull here from Bissell, and Nath has swapped roles with me quite intelligently here. However, Prodigy got a good spawn on road, and as a result we didn't get the flag, and it was probably arguable that Mohawk should have pulled it down middle or the left hand side, but there was like a 50-50 chance of the spawn, and we just sort of got unlucky, if I'm going to be honest. But off spawn here, I just sort of get taken down really fast, but we have almost full map control at this point. If you look at the mini-map, there's a really few places I could be getting without any of our players knowing, but we get 2 down. And this is the point here where you want to slow down. I mean, I can't emphasize enough how important it is when they've got numbers, or when you've got numbers, which basically means you've got more players than the opposing team. You want to put on all the pressure you can, because regardless of how much, they'd obviously have to pull off something spectacular. But it's one player get a 2-piece, which online is quite regular, but at LAN you'll see there's only like a rare cases where you actually see more kills come up. And I'd say if you don't have numbers and you're the guy, like if you're 2 down or 3 down, just literally slow the game right down. Like you all want to stay alive, and I'm going to say it corner hug, but you just basically want to camp until your players are back alive and get in their positions. But you see here, I'm walking back to these bricks and just trying to stay alive around this area for quite a long period of time. I expect there's going to be a sneaky play here because it's sort of the predictable play of Epsilon by being unpredictable, if that makes sense, because you're always expecting them to try and get in your spawn. And you see here that our team are just generally putting a lot of pressure on their left hand side, which they're not dealing with that well. So it's obviously pretty clear that their SMGs are going to be pushing the wrong side, and it was made clear to me that Agony hadn't died for quite some time, so I thought I'd obviously turn around. But you see here, I'm getting a gunfight and obviously get taken down by the Heglitch there by Diablo. But this is us adopting to sort of a counter-cap playstyle. Bissell's alive in their spawn with an ACR, 3 of us alive, and we're just going to play for kills here. Look, Tech and Mohawk getting 2 kills here, and Bissell going for a 5 pull, but we unfortunately get 3 down. And as a result, Bissell's completely left on his own and needs to get out of the situation, and we're all going to try and support him. But the idea of that probably would have worked with the right amount of support. But anyway, I'd advise any team, if you're not like succeeding well and you're sort of beginning as a team, sort of mastering the counter cap is the most essential thing, because it is the easiest to essentially do. And you see a lot of teams on Black Ops adopted this, like Mythics at ECL2 for example. They were so good at the counter cap playstyle. It's not a bad thing, because it means you also have to have a balance of aggression and complete defense, which they did really well, having Lowen and Gataga on complete opposite ends of the scale. With us, I'd say we're a lot more dependent on map control a lot more, and you'll see this with a lot of teams like Western Wolves for example. I'd say they're a quite predominant map control oriented team, which is a great thing to see, because they're the teams where you see like the spawn trapping come from and just the general dominance at events. And this is usually why they will either, those sort of teams usually whitewash the event. Like you saw a Fnatic at ECL3 and obviously ECL4 as well, where they just completely either ran the map or they just didn't lose flags because they controlled their defense so well. Whereas you see with the counter teams, they risk it usually down to 1 or 2 players who it's essential to do well with. But if you're a beginning team, I'd definitely advise you to try and sort of master the counter cap. But this is I'd say this is an interesting map in the way that it works, because there's only 3 direct routes to your flag. And you see here on the defense side of things, we do a great job of locking it down on this, because I'd say this is probably the easiest side to defend. And what we're gonna do is have 1 on the right, 1 in the mid, and one on the left. You see here we're all quite spaced on the road side. I told my team obviously at this point that I've got the right hand side, Mohawk's got the middle, and as a result we get complete map control once again. Mohawk going for a flag pull of his own, and there's obviously 1 guy left alive somewhere which we are uncounted for. At this point we're just frantically trying to kill Carnage, because he is the only guy that could potentially stop the flag. He gets the 2-piece, but I'm just trying to hold down the spawners, which there should be 3 of, but they obviously sneak through to our flag. Bissell cleans up the kill on Carnage, and as a result we're going to get another flag cap. But you saw there the effects of having full map control, like at its pinnacle. We all had every single route possible cut off, and as a result Epsilon couldn't get behind us, which is a usual playstyle by the way. You can sort of narrow teams down into, are they going to try and get behind you and then pull flags, or are they just going to try and drive through you from the front, like Western Wolves for example. And I think you sort of need to have 2 different playstyles to counteract these. And I see there's teams that can mix it up really well. I'd say Apex is one of those teams, because they have the sneakiness of Gataga, but they also have like the raw slaying ability of McGee and Tommy for example. So yeah, sometimes you obviously you can't be one-dimensional in that sense. You just need to be playing off the moment. But you see here I've adopted a really like unusual slaying role for me, since I haven't really played like a slaying or support role since Black Ops, if I'm going to be honest. Since like ECL3. Since then, me and Nath have sort of been a lot more defensive, and I think that's one of the factors of why we've been so consistent, particularly at events, because we always cut our losses down to a minimum, and when it's usually the SMG players that you'll see are the ones that are taking away with the big scores, and the ones that are winning us games. Like Reflex 6 for example, quite recently I say Mohawk and Jake played really well and really consistently. And I'm obviously not, and I'd say that was the biggest influence on why we won. Obviously, I see Tech obviously played like amazing in like the finals, for example, but I'd say their influence on the game was because we sort of allowed them to do that. Like there was no dependency on what they were doing in order for us to win. If that makes sense, like, we took all the sort of the crap job in order to let them just sort of free roam, and that's sort of what we try and do every single time. And with Bissell here, I think he adopts the sort of gritty playstyle as well by pulling those flags that you just sort of don't normally get with a non-sneaky player. He's always in the spawn, and even when he's like the last guy alive, he's always going to be going for the return. And often or not, you'll see him come out with something intelligent, like leaving the guy just to sneak past, stuff like that, and remaining anonymous for a long period of time is just what puts a thorn in people's setups, that when they're really predictable and one-dimensional, they can't deal with that sort of unexpectedness. But you see here, Epsilon managed to get a great setup on the left-hand side. That's probably as a result of me being isolated here. And we all quite carelessly rush in, and obviously Tech picks up a kill on Prodigy, but even so we're in a bad situation here, and Tech picks up a 2-piece on the flag, but obviously we're never going to get that return. It's just a case of slowing it down. But I'm coming to the end of my commentary here. I hope you enjoyed sort of my gameplay analysis, so to speak, rather than me just talking randomly, so be sure to subscribe.
flag. You dropped their flag. The enemy flag has been returned. We are triumphant.